And OTP was having a good day, and I think that's just credit to both of those teams. But you also have to look at, the Ice Minds pick. It just feels like that team is coming into that set saying, we are underdogs. We have to have a strategy. We have to have a plan. All my applause to you, because I think that's how you have to handle those situations. You have to have a plan, and if you don't, you can't do it on a budget, man.
We talked about Vex Gaming potentially just having a little bit of hubris in some of those Bright Marsh team fights and kind of playing them a little bit dumb. And
that's true.
When you know exactly what's going to happen and you still fail to play around it, there's really no way to take that away from your opponents at that point. You have to still be smart. You have to underestimate nobody. Heading into our second game here, Radiant versus Zimmerframe.
Yeah, this is going to be great. Another Torvald band. I love these logos, too. The left side, very cute. I would assume devilish type creature there. But on the other side, a ninja zombie.
I like that guy.
Ninja zombie, maybe? Or maybe it's
a
like
ninja that's like a visor
frog
type of thing. I don't think it's a frog or a zombie. I'm seeing like the robot like visor scanning.
I'm seeing eyes. I'm seeing this being a mouth guard, right?
Yes.
And those are the eyes. So I don't know if that's a visor or that's just the thing underneath it.
But 3 eyes?
Yeah. It's a weird guy. That's what I'm saying. What kind of person?
You calling him a weird boy?
No, not at all. I'm guesstimating here.
Oh, weird boy, with your 3 eyes.
With your 3 eyes. Sometimes your third eye is where you see what you need to do in your life. Let's bring it down to the chakras, the spiritual nature of it all.
Your chi.
Your chi. Or your tea.
Your chi tea.
Which you've had some of this morning.
I did.
Is that why you're so spry?
I will fight to protect the sanctity of the wild.
I'm glad you noticed.
I'm glad you noticed I was feeling extra spry this morning. So.
This is
This is spry.
What tea did, I don't even remember what I grabbed. Something with caffeine in it.
Excellent.
The English breakfast.
The English breakfast. I actually bought a bag of English breakfast tea. It's a good quality kind from Whole Foods. I am ready to enjoy a cup. In fact, I think after this set I will.
Maybe
Fernando.
I will.
Maybe I will. Fernando, Willow, Cassie, Jidos. Those were the champions back in my day. Now Radiant, Bomb King, Makoa, Nara, and Victor, they will be taken to counter them.
I think if this were like Bright Marsh or Jag, I would like this Radiant comp a little bit more. But I think this can be kind of hard to operate at times on Stone Keep. You got to fight for the keep. If they let Willow Cassie get up there, it's probably gonna be over. 3 DPS here for Zimmerframe. It's a comp you pick with confidence, and hopefully they've got it. But when you go 3 DPS like that, when the high ground is so important to you, it's a little risky, right? Because you don't have what you need to try and spearhead that charge. You are not going to be the guy that's in the driver's seat.
Right, because who takes that, right? You're right. Willow, Cassie, if they take it, cool, great. But they need Fernando to be up there to support them. Otherwise, it's Makoa or Nara who's up there. Who do you think will win this game? Go ahead and send us your thoughts in the mixer poll that we'll be holding right now, and let us know who you think has the edge in this banner fight up on top of the Stone Keep. I think that, unfortunately, unless Willow or Cassie can get a couple burst shots onto those members who are contesting that keep, it's going to be tough to take it. And maybe you don't even try. Maybe you just, poke. See what you can do. That's what 3 DPS is pretty good at.
Poke it out, wait for Zin to get the flank off. I think there's an opportunity for a massive fireball to open this fight up and maybe spook a couple of the people in the backline. Spook them right into Zin's arms, but he goes for the guillotine.
Yeah. Oh, Smutney. Man, those guys didn't mess around last week.
No, that's very true.
So I don't know if this is going to be a wipeout or if this will actually have some. I like the Luminary Nightshade. I'm curious to see how this works. And also Luminary Guillotine.
A lot of burst damage there. Nightshade, Scorch.
Yep.
As well as Impulse. If all that connects, that's scary business. And they look like they want to go for it.
Just getting some vision. I like this. And then you send 1 here. And now you can't really stay with the Cassie. Oh my god, and the Seedlings, my man. That was crazy. He needs some healing now.
If they rolled on that, they would have already had first blood by now.
You would think.
Makoa busy running over the top of Fernando. Now she's full HP. Now that one little light at the end of the tunnel is extinguished.
And it feels like it's execution heavy. And that's the thing with the 3 DPS, why Fnatic do it and why you see other teams do it. It doesn't quite look the same. It's hard. You have to make all the right decisions. You have to have players who win their duels all the time. And maybe 2v1 a lot of the time as well. And so far, that is not what we've seen. Solar Blessing here and no longer. But it will move on to a better place as well as Radiant Esports now have the 1-0. Nice.
Love this skin, man. Oh.
Oh, he's using the legendary weapon as well. Those are going out of...
Which I can't get behind, you know? The weapon,
I can't get behind.
The weapon for this skin is so nasty and just so mean looking.
It is mean.
Look at that hook.
You get the better shatter effect here.
Do.
Plus, these are pretty rare now. Not a lot of people scoop these up.
Can't you just buy the level 50, though?
You can.
If you're a rich boy like me.
But, you know, you got to think long-term, Vic. I mean...
That's a lot of in-game gold.
That's right. And to give that away for something now, that means you're not getting some of the good stuff that you want later. I don't know. I'm not here to teach these fellas business. I'm here to teach.
I'm not going to tell you how to spend your money.
I'm not going to tell you how to spend your money, but that was a bad decision. And look at this. Is Bomb King using the gold weapons too? Oh, maybe it's just a thing. Maybe they just...
Flossing on him today.
Flossing on him. Hamished coming over and finding Revolt Kings in the lower keep. And with a fireball, it will miss. A minute and 18 seconds left. Ximerframe with the 3DPS are going to have success here when they can keep the fight wild and spread. But on the point fight, we saw them struggle.
1 minute left. This Makoa is going to go down. A lot of ultimates available for both squads.
Down to the river.
Down to the river we head. On Stone Keep we tread.
Oh.
Damn, we're not about to drop another single this week, are we?
Single this week, dude.
We gotta
Week
be
after
careful.
week after week. No, that's on SEA day. You can't drop a single unless it's SEA going on.
The console LP, dude.
The console LP. Ooh, nice. That whirl stayed on point more than I thought. Big Booty Soul. You wonder if this is just him speaking to his soul, or if this is a reference to the Smite God, who actually has some... And it wouldn't be too inaccurate. Yeah, wouldn't be too inaccurate.
You have to wonder.
You have to wonder.
Seconds remaining.
Excited for Hera to come out. She looks pretty sweet.
Yeah.
And Smite.
In Smite. No, there's a lot of great stuff. People are very excited. They actually want her to be out a lot sooner than I think the design team said she would be. But you know how it is. A lot of spoiler content, and then all of a sudden, all the people who got spoiled by the person who's just reading something that was dynamite. It's like, what? I thought it was the new champion this patch. You mean it's 3 patches from now? It's like, yes, it's always been 3 patches from now. What do you mean?
Well, Fnatic's doing a good job bruising out here on the high ground, but in overtime, hope starts to fade as Inara just keeps getting punched in the face by Zin. You can only stand for that so long.
Yeah.
These solar blessings are just barely off the mark. Just a little bit too little too late. And it's, you know, I understand it's a lot of healing to come through, so you want to make the most of it. But when you, you try to min-max and you get the min.
And you get the min.
Doesn't feel good.
Yeah, it does. It does. It's unfortunate. You have to look at, too, the way that was as a defense. I mean, that was pretty good. I mean, they got far, but, you know, with 2 tanks, you're going to get decently far. They just really did look threatening towards the end of that overtime to be able to push and make a move. And, I mean, Big Booty Soul hasn't died all game long. He seemed to be a real big distraction and a ton of damage with Luminary, just adding up to keep him second. About 9,000 above the Zen.
5.
So now we get to watch this fight with ultimates,
2,
and this has kind of been
1.
something I've been noting a little bit more and more recently is just, you know, how does this round look different from the first one with the ultimates? You've got the Zin, who's going to be especially reckless with his guillotine coming through here. He might look to just get it done on this Makoa.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's a really easy one to just go ahead and grab that win with. Revolt Kings trying to back out. It's a 3-for-1 exchange here. Somehow, after all that not dying, Big Booty Soul gets taken down by an Inara on the objective.
That was a big play from Smutny, man. That was a big play. He just sets up a Zen to die there, and now all the work that's been done, the guillotine that offset the damage, offset the front line advantage that Radiant Esports had is now lost. And it's Ximerframe who no longer have control. This is going to be a tough one to retake with Inara and Makoa having both of their ultimates.
Yeah, man. King Bomb and Inflame. 4 ultimates versus 2. Perhaps a big time and space will save us, but I'm not holding my breath.
Neither am I. There's the Ancient Rage as well, and Big Booty Soul finally does go down. And look at this, committed to the zone, committed to the fight, and I don't mind this. You know, they're excelling at spreading everyone out and creating these 1v1s on a relatively bigger map. And so you just send your tanks to compete with them, like, fine. Well, maybe we'll keep Fury on the objective. Mako and Inara, you want to 1v1 them? Have fun. We're running at you.
Stop the payload.
And with only 3 ultimates used, Radiant Esports get it done, so that's a pretty dominant look for them. Big CC.
Yeah.
From distance here, I mean, that's what they didn't get last round, was just that long-range pick. They have the Victor, so I would expect it to be not that difficult for them, but they get a good little seismic crash up there. Allow this Makoa to maybe run up on the high ground and start bruising it out. I think they have what they need. If they use their ultimates appropriately here, this is definitely realistic to expect a conversion.
Yeah, and I like Potent just contributing that extra little bit of damage. No one's really worried about the Victor, and you can't be when you've got an Inara, a Mako, and a Bomb King saying, what up? And he's just in the back line. Oh, she's dead, but she's around the corner. Just a little grenade, not shrapnel in burst mode, clean it up, taking it from distance. This is where I think he doesn't do well, though. I mean, I don't think you need to take that fight. I think you can back off, you can rotate. You know, let the Zen be frontlining, let the Zen be somewhere else. Big Booty Soul, man, has made a huge difference on the defense for Ximerframe.
I don't know what it's going to take at that point. I mean, they have just maybe a non-willingness to use those ultimates. The Willow, if they can just get her to her spot. They got, I mean, the reason I think Ximerframe aren't on the offense themselves right now is just a little bit of overzealousness. They push out when they get just a couple of kills here. But you get this Willow to this spot and just kind of defend her safely.
Right.
I mean, look at what he's been able to do without any type of real measurable high ground at this point. If you get him up to a really good nest, it's game over.
And that's where the Inara, you hear the Stone Spear right after Potent shooting at the Big Booty Soul Willow. I think they need to recognize the threat. Like, I know the Zen is distracting, but they have to realize how much of the damage is coming from Big Booty Soul, the dead zone, the stopping of the Solar Blessing, the only true way to stop that healing coming through. And, you know, Potent is not winning any of these 1v1s. I mean, this is a 2v1 type performance for Big Booty Soul nearly every time he shows up to fight.
Gotta get this shield down now. It's, I don't know. It's tough with burst mode to win this sort of hipfire battle with a champion that's going to out-hipfire you every single time. Smutny from down below actually manages to pick up the Willow, and now it's Victor's turn.
And you know what? This is big time. This is big time. The bout's almost hooked up for him. Unfortunately, Smutny is low, and Thanatix went down to Sibs EU. And man, I mean, Ximerframe, I got to give credence to what they're doing. It's creating a really complex problem for Radiant Esports to solve, and they're caught between here and there and not choosing either. So it's a 2-2 yet again, although the credits are starting to flow much more thoroughly towards the way of Radiant Esports, and we'll see if that makes a difference here in round 3.
That was a really good Faith Light. I mean, can't take that away from him for sure. Sibs, Spite 2 and 4. Top damage here in this game. And it's the Luminary 3 DPS comp. You expect it to be ahead in damage, but all the way ahead of Victor that far? Not necessarily. I think Victor's a guy, even when losing, even when behind, even when not getting a lot of support, can find just so much poke damage, especially with burst mode. You know, most of the time you're going to land at least one shell of your barrage. Those are 1,500 a pop. Time and space comes through. It doesn't look like it connects on to anyone. Willow headed to the back line as well from up top.
This could be bad. This Willow is just so deadly, man. And I can see why they're banning it here on console. It's the ease of being able to do what she can do, supporting so much of what Ximerframe are trying to procure. But with every Makoa hook, their hopes get less and less. And with every Solar Blessing, it becomes more of a mess for Ximerframe trying to retake what has never been theirs in the first place, the objective. And this looks like it'll be another story going the same way here.
Again, just better use of ultimates there. Still, they hang on to the King Bomb and the Seismic Crash. Don't even need to use those in the point fight, and they're winning by a large margin. Nice Solar Blessings as well. You got to give credit to those.
Yeah.
Smutny been a pretty big factor on the support.
Yeah, and this is where they haven't been able to keep it going. But as we see in round 3, if a team 1-0, 2-1, and then finally 3 2s. This is the round where the momentum starts to kick. It may just be that once you get 900 credits above an enemy team, that's a tier 3, and that's enough of a snowball. It might just be the momentum. It might just be the fact that now the game can be lost or the game can be won, and you're willing to take more risks, or maybe you play a little bit more focused. But so many times in this game, I see this 3-2 become the push that turns into 4-2, especially when a team is dominated this way like Radiant.
It kind of feels like game number 1 as well, where you've got a team like Radiant who just dominate every single point objective, and then Ximerframe just dominate on the defense. I don't really get what it is, and the Ximerframe comp doesn't feel like it should necessarily be beating Radiant on the event. And they're almost holding, like, out here isn't really where most people hold. Most people will hold just sort of in the courtyard where the capture point actually is, or the conversion point rather.
Right.
But a lot of the fighting is actually happening just before that gate, and maybe that's Ximerframe realizing we don't really have the range to contest with this Victor once they kind of break us and push us back into our own spawn.
I think it's the inability for Potent to take the high ground here. I mean, I think Potent needs to get on the right side, or Revolt Kings need to go right side high ground and win it. That is really the only thing I can see in increasing their chances here, because they just cannot deal on the ground with the Willow taking the high ground and Zen getting in their face. Sibs has been silent but so deadly. And it's Whitey has been doing a great job of applying damage while not being solely about the guillotines in. I mean, we see a lot of damage come through from just taking down 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 health from the front line with an ultimate, but I mean, he's in the fight all the time.
Whitey just gets spooked there as well. I mean, you find that isolated 1v1, that's what you want. As in, Bomb King's a tough nut to crack, sure, but
this might be big. That was a huge
Fernando
wall.
definitely going down here. That wall not going to save him. Zin,
Oh, that was
cooldowns are
big.
down as well. This could be it if they take down the Willow here. Keep it up. Wildcard's continuing to push the objective here. They have the long distance pick potential with the Victor. They've got the barrage as well. I think they maybe could have spent something else to keep the gas pedal pushed.
Yeah, man, I think it's hesitancy here. I would have wanted to see Wildcard, like, just take a few steps above the payload, push from in front, get some damage onto Sibs. He's been so disastrous to you and your hopes of staying alive. And now, obviously, you're going to go down. I mean, you at least buy.
They just need to go.
Yeah, they've never gone, right? But it's worked for them in the objective fight. Maybe that's the conversation.
You've got so many people just looking at that Inara beating her up, and then Makoa and, like,
what are they doing?
Bomb King are sitting up there like, oh no, man, that looks rough
That
down
looks
there.
rough
I'm glad
down there,
that's not
brother.
me. Woo! I think if they just push out there, that's an easy win. They push the back line.
What else do you want?
Either at that point they try to just continue to beat up the Inara and you just shoot them for free and probably kill them, or they turn and start to fight you and then your Inara is allowed to live. But pressure needs to be applied in more than one spot on this offense.
You know, they got Fernando. They got Zen. And then they basically get Willow up on top. You get high ground. You have a 5v, 2.
Yeah, I mean,
and
it woulda, coulda, shoulda with that Willow.
I mean, that's it's rough.
Drop
there.
one barrage shell onto that Willow, kill her, and then cancel it out. You save 40% of it.
Yeah. I mean, it's Whitey here and getting pretty aggressive. And Revolt's Kings finding big booty soul, but will they pay the price for it? It's Whitey still sneaking into the back line, and he's looking for Smutney. But he has to focus onto the front line here, and he's just trying to charge up his ultimate as much as possible. And now Revolt King's trying to get the counter. He does get it. And there's the Immortal coming through from Fernando as well, but it looks like he's going to die. Maybe not now, but very, very soon, unless it's Whitey can distract for long enough.
Again, Radiant Esports looking good on the objective, sending it into overtime. It's 3-3 here. It's going to end one way or another. The Inflame will come out. Radiant Esports go back to back to back to back on the objectives. And that's going to capture their Game 1 victory.
Well, that's going to be it for at least Game 1, but we still got more coming up in the set. I'm curious if this will be the same level of domination or if we will see something shift in terms of the way these two teams are playing. We saw like that last game as far as set 1 with Vexed. That last game was a dominating performance on Jaguar Falls. Will we see that here, or will they be able to fall back into some old ways of being maybe a little bit more cautious to a fault and allow Ximerframe to tie things up?
Well, I think both types of comps are still just as viable here and can be looked at for Radiant and Ximerframe if they were comfortable with what they had. If you're Radiant, I don't see why not. Despite that being a 4-3 win, that felt right. Like none of those point fights were even close, so it still felt pretty dominant despite the very close ending scoreboard there. But Inara's gone this time. And that's not a huge deal because of just the way the point is designed on Ascension Peak.
So I don't mind this at all. And I think looking back to that game, the biggest decision that I think Radiant made that was different from Ximerframe was that both teams just decided to play their style of game. And Radiance was controlling the objective with the Inara and the Makoa. It was winning the objective fight with 2 front lines. Ximerframe, they did well at controlling chaos and making it very sporadic in terms of when they were attacking, when they were defending, and that allowed them to control the push cycles, but they never were on the aggression. And look at this. A no Koga ban means Radiant are going to grab Koga first.
We'll have to see what that means
Yeah.
for them to Zimmerframe have a plan. Like we say, when there's really, really high-profile stuff that's banned every single game, when somebody's second pick lets it through, it means they probably have a plan of how they want to deal for it. Makoa Khan is their selected front line. But again, Radiant, I think they're drafting well around the sense that they just aren't worried about their front. They're just counter-drafting, basically. They know we'll get something eventually. We know that on Ascension Peak, anyone can really be a point front line because the point is designed to help you survive.
A little risky though, man. I mean, you could expect Fernando, I think. But boy, oh boy, look at those champions on the side of Ximerframe. That is rough. They're really hoping that I think Koga can make the difference, but they don't have a lot of the things that we've seen Koga be augmented extremely well with. No damage at all, or a hot.
Good stuff to fight around. I'm curious just to see how he goes at this point.
Same.
I mean, when you have those comps that are like, you know, like Torvald, Genos, like things that are clearly designed to be fully focused on Koga, I think that's when we see the Master of Arms style. We haven't seen Adrenaline Junkie on console. I don't know if that's something that anyone's ready to pull out, but let us know in chat who you guys think is going to win. Koga gets through for the first time today. Will he be able to take a W and take the set home?
Do you think it'll be the success of Koga here or the demise?
I don't know. I'm a big fan of Fernando Bomb King as well, so I think there's more than one win condition for Radiant Esports. It's coming down a lot to this Furia for me. If Solar Blessing is run again for Smutny, and I got a lot of confidence in him as a player and as a support in particular, I think if he can be effective on this Furia, I think they definitely have a really, really strong composition. Got their Sapper rounds to get through the very, very strong 1 and 2 drafted front line of Khan and Makoa.
Suppression Kinessa?
He's trolling.
Well, let's wait till they get out.
If you look at the loadout, that's often pretty telling, because no one has like a troll loadout that they pick.
He's running it, dude.
Oh, man.
Well, let's take a look at Wildcard here as well in his loadout. Surprise, something to prove level 3. My guy.
Wait, what was he? Was he Master of Arms?
Master of Arms. Shadow Step. So he's running basically his favorite talent, right? But running a build that I think would work very, very well as far as using Adrenaline Junkie. I like this combination. I think these are simply just some of Koga's best cards. It's going to be the first time we see something to prove 3 at all.
Damn.
And this is a great card because that reset is relatively low for how often you're engaging and going into the back line of the fight. But it gives you that extra dash. The only thing he's not going to be getting is the ability to reset that energy by using Adrenaline Junkie.
It's only a 10-second ICD too, which isn't really that bad in the grand scheme of things. There's 2 really, really good things going for Radiant Esports against this 1 and 2 pick, right? These are the highest priority picks. These are the things that Ximerframe wanted the most. These are the picks, the Khan and Makoa, that they let through because of, or they let Koga through because they wanted. But then you look at the Sapper rounds as well as Master of Arms, just being able to shred through every single shield you put in front of it. Doesn't matter how much HP it's got. Oof. I mean, it's 2 really, really effective picks at just dealing with these front. Like, look at this. I mean,
dealing with these big front lines.
Not doing anything there.
It's interesting because they haven't really got much from Big Booty Ho. Big Booty Soul. I'm sorry, that's an old joke.
Slip.
That's an old joke that we have had in our design.
Shout out to Maddie.
Shout out to Maddie. Oh man.
Somebody clip that. I'm sure she would. That would put a smile on her face on a Monday.
It certainly would.
And look at the Bomb King right there. Her one trick.
I know. Big Booty Soul finds Revolt's Kings, but really the point was that Big Booty Soul has not found much here in a Headhunter of
wow. Okay.
Never mind. At least finds Potent. That was hot.
Oh man. He even had the suppressor mine down. What a beast.
Yeah, that was great.
What a beast.
So should we talk about suppression or should we just assume that he's Trolling?
Um,
Doesn't seem like he would troll.
Watch this slide.
So he's running.
so we got Big Booty Ho and we got Charles. Incarnate here.
We have Charles Incarnate. So this is really like a meme build.
Dude, Octopressor.
Yeah, and I mean, basically, it's anti-healing for Kinessa. It used to allow you to put out more mines. I believe up to 8, right?
Like they would just, no, like the beam would hit more than
Oh,
one person.
right.
But there is a well-stocked is the one you're
Is
thinking
the card
of.
I'm thinking of. And then the beam amplitude increases it by 80%. So this is something that, as far as a defense, you're actually going to see a little bit of value. It's going to obviously take away a lot of your damage as Kinessa. It's more of a utility talent. We've really never seen it at a high level. It's something
15 seconds remaining.
you don't even see it a lot in casuals.
Yeah, I think the hope there is that
9.
in the chaos of a fight, most people won't stop to destroy those mines, and they end up actually contributing a fair bit of damage.
Right.
Of course, the anti-heal, very effective as well. And it's also a thing that in the chaos of a fight, not a lot of people stop to destroy them because it's sometimes hard to even read that they're, you know, on you. It's kind of a low-key sort of thing that's happening in the grand scheme of a team fight. Enflame comes out.
Look at that beam.
It's 5 for nothing here, pretty much, as everyone is forced back into spawn, and Radiant just slide it through in very quiet, clean fashion.
And we've got more and more reasons why we will see console players ban Koga. Seems like that was absolutely just a walk in the park. Radiant Esports have a tough game 1.
Double kill.
But boy, oh boy, game 2 seems a lot easier.
Also, snipers on console have never been, except for on Frog Isle, have never been a really big staple.
Yeah.
And to run an off-meta talent on a map that's kind of tough, period, for Kinessa, it's definitely a ballsy play here for Big Booty Soul. The biggest note is the 0-5 Makoa right now. I mean, when you're coming through, you're letting Koga through so you can grab this, and it is not being effective for you. It's only at 15k damage. Vivian not doing a ton of damage either, but I think it's mostly potent having to just get through shields.
Well, Hamish here trying to control at least a little bit of the objective, but we'll see how long that lasts. Good Wings of Wrath from Smutney to stay safe out of the through time and space. Genos amplifying this con but Wildcard seems to be getting the benefits of the Immortal, saving the Koga, and that's
Really nice.
turned to proven to be vital.
Enemy killing spree.
And the bombs just keep on connecting. Wowie.
Well, that's
Chat with the confidence.
the Koga confidence.
They see
man.
Koga and they know. Ooh, almost
That's
stepped in the trap.
how OP Koga is. I bet Koga's win rate's like 48%.
Yeah, I don't know. Low HP,
Very low.
flanks tend to have a pretty low win rate. Especially the ones like with low HP that have kind of the skill ceiling.
Yep.
I don't know. It's tough to say. Because it is aim intensive at the end of the day. Like, if you're not hitting your shots, you're not getting effectiveness out of Master of Arms.
Yep.
If you're not hitting your shots, you're not getting your effectiveness out of Adrenaline Junkie either. And a lot of it's like, if you got to build kind of a smart loadout too.
You do.
To make those talents make sense and really, really leverage them.
I mean, if Koga's not running the right loadout cards, you're going to probably be like, this is not nearly as effective of a Koga as if I have all the right loadout cards to be able to snowball this. And some champions do it well with whatever. Like, it doesn't even matter what you pick. They're the same. But I don't think Koga's in that ballpark whatsoever.
Absolutely not. He's got some good ones for sure. And 1 for 1 here off the rip. Headhunter was popped. Khan's doing his best to put up the fight. The shield's falling down. The Enflame is popped. It looks like it will be the run back here. One of these frontliners has got to contest eventually. The Immortal. Does everyone outrange it though? No. They fight smartly inside of it.
Wow, nice fireball from Thanatix. You know, maybe this Makoa was really taken because Thanatix had such a good performance on it the game before. And maybe it's just because it's available and it's Makoa, right? But you got to give him credit. And you got to look at Wildcard here as well, staying alive. This is the only time he's died. 2 overpowers as well. But
the foot down.
they're at the door, and there's really 55 seconds left. This should be a completion by Radiant Esports.
Ancient Rage, that's going to be the big ultimate that Zimmerframe looked to stay in the game with. And even at the end of the day, if you force that out and go into the next round, Zimmerframe have nothing available, you're still in a good spot here. So Radiant Esports They've got plenty of avenues to success here. It's just about which one they feel like taking the stroll down.
32 seconds and counting. 10-6 gets above Furia, quickly dispelled though. You can see some record being built up. It's Whitey here in the Ancient Rage.
Hey.
Looking to just stall it out, create some space. Potent on the Vivian says, I got a shield, buddy. Do you? And he says, yes. Didn't want to use it, but now I got to go away. Looking to get the heals, but man, Genos can't even come close to competing heal-wise against the Furia. And their last valiant effort with the Octopressor showing up that it didn't give him enough of an amplitude.
Any day suppressor fails, it's a good day.
Yeah, so that's going to be it for that set. That was quick. We did expect a little bit more of a contest, especially considering the way that, Game 1 went, but it was a really good showing from Radiant Esports. Sputney and the boys continue to impress. They will now be, I believe, second seed here as we take a look at the schedule and the standings for today as far as this region. Nick, overall, have you summed up how we've seen these matches go?
It's, I mean, when you look at letting that Koga through 4-2 front lines, there hasn't been a ton of exposure with that champion yet, so I think finding what the counter picks are or what is worth letting him through for is a bit of a conversation still to be had, and especially with how popular Master of Arms is on console, running a bunch of shielding into that where he literally can't miss seems like a big risk.
Well, let's take a look at the schedule and the standings here. To conclude Xbox in terms of the European region, Radiant Esports will head over Zimmerframe by quite a full margin. OTP 0-3, but it didn't really feel like that today. They gave a run for the money to Vex Gaming. And of course, coming up next, we have Europe and PS4, Flashpoint, Brutal Fisher, Cyclone GG, YCTG, all coming up very soon. We do have a quick break we will be going to, however, before we get back into the console league for today. My name has been Rain Day. That's Pretty Hair. We'll see you right back here in just a bit.